Trails in the Sky is a game that, to me, feels absolutely brutally underrated. We play as Estelle Bright, who, throughout the series, goes through a ton of character development, but in this one, you start at the very beginning of her story. The game starts with a flashback of Estelle when she was just 11 years old, and I remember already being sold on the game by the time this sequence ended. Honestly, I doubt most people would have the same experience with this game. There's just something about it. The writing, the character depth, the atmosphere, it all really speaks to me personally. This game has right around a 40-hour runtime, which nowadays seems to be the JRPG standard. But unlike most modern-day JRPGs, this game seems to always be spending its time on things that matter. For instance, talk to an NPC when you first enter a town. Then, after a big story event, talk to them again. They will absolutely have something new to say. This goes a long way in making the world feel alive, and very few games go as far as this one in making a world that feels so lively and dynamic. Combat is turn-based, but is also on a grid, like a strategy RPG. This introduces a whole new strategic element, and makes you further consider which moves to use, as they all have their individual patterns on the grid-based battlefield. Being a Falcom game, they really didn't skimp on the difficulty, and certain fights can feel like roadblocks. But to adhere with modern casual standards, the Steam version, and pretty much every modern version, allows you to lower the current enemy or boss's difficulty when you die in battle. This isn't a big deal, but there is also a straight-up retry option, so it comes off as sort of a casual baby cop-out, which I personally would rather not have in the game. Anyway, as I said before, this game has great characters, but it also has an incredibly good character-driven narrative. A bit of a spoiler ahead, but the game ends on a brutal cliffhanger. And after playing the second Trails game, it feels like it could have really just been one big JRPG. Apparently, that was the original plan, and the sequel was even called Trails in the Sky Second Chapter. It's even bigger than the first game, so I can understand why it became its own project. Regardless, no matter how big this series gets, the original trilogy will always be worth getting into, and yeah, I know how it feels to be recommended to play or watch a gigantic series with all the stuff that's out right now. But seriously, at least play this first Trails in the Sky. It's criminally underrated, and easily one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. Falcom really ended up making something special, and it's not worth missing out on.